So today is week 8 of basic electric circuits tutorial discussion. We'll begin with the first question. So this class is a refreshing class which will go through how to find Thevenin resistance, how to use nodal analysis, how to use superposition theorem and some first order circuit solving. So first problem is to find the Thevenin equivalent resistance, to find R Thevenin of the given circuit. As we have seen in previous classes, for independent sources only existing, then you can replace the sources with its internal impedance. For example, if the circuit only had voltage sources and current sources which are independent, then to find your Thevenin equivalent resistance, you just have to replace the voltage source with a short circuit and the current source with an open circuit. And then you can find the equivalent resistance. But in the given case, the circuit has some dependent sources. So in the case when dependent sources exist, we cannot do this because we don't know what is the internal resistance or impedance of your dependent source. So in this case, what you will do is you will apply. So you will first see from where you have to find the Thevenin resistance. So here A and B are given and you are to find the equivalent resistance looking from this side. So what is resistance? Resistance is nothing but voltage divided by current. So you are sending, if you send a voltage, that means if I give a voltage source here, whose magnitude I know, say V, and this circuit will draw a current I, then your Thevenin voltage resistance is the magnitude of V by I. The magnitude I'm saying because you don't know whether current is drawing from the source or current is going back to the source. So the sign of I, immaterial of whether it is positive or negative, irrespective of that, you have to divide that voltage magnitude with that current magnitude. That will give you your Thevenin equivalent resistance. So this is applicable for the case of independent sources also. But to avoid that pain, you directly replace it with the equivalent resistances and find the Thevenin equivalent resistance. So in this case, you cannot do that. So you will apply a voltage source and you will find the current. So in the given circuit, I will redraw this. So this is your circuit where you are asked to find the Thevenin equivalent resistance across AB. So you have the liberty to connect a voltage source of 1 volt. I am connecting 1 volt. You can connect 2 volt, you can connect 3 volt, any volt you can connect. Because the circuits are linear, whatever voltage you connect, the current drawn will be proportional. So that the ratio between V by I will be remain the same. That means the resistance. So now in this problem, I am connecting 1 volt source and that current drawn is say I in. So I am giving that current as I in. So if this is the case, the R Thevenin is given by 1 volt divided by I in, the magnitude of this. So the given problem, find R Thevenin, becomes 1 divided by I in. So now our problem is to find I in. So how you can find I in? You can choose any method you know. You can go with nodal analysis. You can go with Kirchhoff's voltage law, which is mesh analysis. Whichever analysis suits you best is easy for you, you can solve. So in the given problem, the way I am solving, I'll explain. So first, you have given 1 volt across AB, which is also marked in the question as Vx. So I can write Vx is equal to 1 volt. So this Vx is affecting this here, this circuit. So this voltage source here has a value Vx by 500. So we already know that Vx is 1 volt. So I can replace this with 1 by 5000, that much volts. So this is your first step, identifying which all independent sources value you know. So I got that. Now I have to find what is I, because this current is 100I. Now I have to find I in, right? So I in is your 100I. The current flowing through this branch is 100I. And this current I can call this as I1. So your I in is 100I plus I1. Now if you see I1 is the current flowing through your 20 kilo ohm. Now the voltage across your 20 kilo ohm is Vx, which is nothing but 1 volt. So your I1 is Vx divided by 20 kilo ohm. Always make sure the signs are proper. So Vx is the current going down is I1. So the positive symbol is here, negative symbol is here. So I1 is Vx by 20 kilo ohm. Had I have taken the symbol of or direction of I1 like this, if this was my I1, then that I1 would have been minus Vx by 20k. I hope it is clear. So now in the given case, my I1 is downwards and my polarity is Vx by 20 kilo ohm. Now Vx is 1 volt. 1 volt divided by 20 kilo ohm comes out to be 0.05 into 10 raised to minus 3 ampere. Now 10 raised to minus 3 is milli. So this becomes 0.05 milliampere. So this is your I1. Now your I in is 100I plus this I1. This I1 is 0.05 milliampere. Now I have to find I. If I get I can get my I in and then I can get RTH. So I in, how to get I in? So I in is depending on 100I. Now where is your I? I is the current in this branch. So if you take that branch, that branch has a voltage source of 2 millivolts connected in series with a 2 kilo ohm resistor and another voltage source which is a dependent source whose value is 1 by 5000, which is Vx by 5000. Vx is 1, so 1 by 5000. Now this is your current I. Now the direction of current I is as shown. So it goes from, current always flows from higher potential to lower potential. So the I, if you had grounded this terminal, then this node potential is 2 millivolt and this node potential is 1 by 5000 volts. So your I is the nodal potential differences, which is 2 millivolts minus 1 by 5000 volts divided by the resistance between them, which is 2 kilo ohm, which is current is potential difference by resistance. So 2 millivolt is nothing but 2 by 1000 minus 1 by 5000, that much volts divided by 2000 ohms. So this will come out to be 9 into 10 raised to minus 7 volts per ohm. So volts per ohm is nothing but your ampere. So this I can multiply 10 in both denominator and numerator, that much ampere. So this becomes 9 by 10 into 10 raised to minus 6 ampere. Now 10 raised to minus 6 is nothing but micro. So this is 0.9 microampere. So this is how you convert this value to this value. You multiply and divide with appropriate powers of 10. So now you got your I as 0.9 microampere. So now you can get I in, or I in is 100I plus I1. Now 100 times 0.9 microampere plus I1 is 0.05 milliampere. So this much amperes, this comes out to be 1.4 times 10 raised to minus 4 ampere. So this is your I in. So if I send 1 volts, the circuit will draw a current of 1.4 into 10 raised to minus 4 ampere. That means your resistance RTH is 1 divided by 1.4 into 10 raised to minus 4, which comes out to be 7142.85 ohms or 7.14 kilo ohms. This is how you solve this problem. If there is any doubt, please ask. If there are no doubts, we'll move on to the next problem. You can solve this problem yourself. I'll give you 5 minutes. We'll solve this together at 7:17 p.m. So you're asked to find the node voltages V1, V2, and V3. You can directly apply nodal analysis. So there's a quick go through of nodal analysis. In nodal analysis, we follow Kirchhoff's current law. KCL states that all the currents coming into a node, which are incoming currents, is same as the current which leaves the node, which is outgoing current. So the incoming current is same as the outgoing current. This is what Kirchhoff's current law states. So, and also we know that current is nothing but voltage divided by, for a resistive network, by resistance. So if you know these two, we can go directly to nodal analysis. So now you can directly write the nodal analysis. Let us consider node 1, which is V1. So this is your node 1. Now the incoming currents are 6 ampere. Outgoing currents, you can assume that all the other currents are outgoing. Anyway, you already have your 4 ampere and another current here, another current here, and the current here. I am naming these currents as I1, I2, and I3. Now if you take I1, I1 is the current flowing through 4 ohm, one end of which is grounded and the other end is having a potential V1. And this is your I1. I already said current is voltage by resistance. So your I1 is the potential difference across 4 ohm, which is V1 minus 0 by 4. Similarly, I2, if you take I2 direction is like this, and this is your V1 and this is your V2 and this is your 3 ohm. So the direction of I2 is from V1 to V2. So I2 is given by V1 minus V2 by 3, the higher potential minus lower potential by the resistance. So this is how you write for the currents. And now you can apply your Kirchhoff's current law, which is incoming currents is outgoing currents. So you know that your 6 ampere is incoming. It is outgoing into I1, I2, I3 and 4. So this is how using Kirchhoff's current law. So you have to use both these concepts while doing nodal analysis. So now you can start writing for each of the nodes. So you can directly write instead of giving variable names. So I can write for the node 1, which is V1, 6 ampere is coming and outgoing currents are 4 plus V1 minus 0 by 4, which is this current. Then this current, which is V1 minus V2 by 3. Then the next current is through 6 ohms, which is V1 minus V3 by 6. So this is a nodal equation of first node. If you separate the coefficients V1, V2, V3, so V1, for the coefficient of V1 is 1 by 4 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 6. Coefficient of V2 is minus 1 by 3. Coefficient of V3 is minus 1 by 6, which is equal to 6 minus 4, which is 2. So this is your first nodal equation. Similarly, if you write for the second nodal equation, so when you consider a particular node, you imagine that node is the supreme node. That means that node has higher potential than all other nodes. If you consider that way, all your currents will be outgoing currents. So if incoming currents are 0, that means what? Your outgoing currents are also 0. So now if I am writing nodal equation of the second node, V2, I assume that V2 is the supreme node. That means it has a higher potential. So I can write V2 minus V1 by 3, which is the outgoing current from V2 to V1, plus V2 by 6, which is V2 minus 0 by 6, which is this current, plus this current, which is V2 minus V3 by 5. These are all the outgoing currents. So the outgoing current sum will be the incoming current, which is 0. So if you write the coefficient, so coefficient of V1 is minus 1 by 3. That of V2 is 1 by 3 plus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 5, plus the coefficient of V3 is minus 1 by 5, that is equal to 0. Now if you take these two equations and if you observe the nodal equation of the first node, you see the first node is V1. Now in V1, you notice that the coefficients of V1, which is 1 by 4, 1 by 3, 1 by 6, those are the admittances connected to V1. That means if you see the resistances connected to V1 are 4 ohms, 3 ohms and 6 ohms. So the coefficient of V1 is the admittance, which is 1 by 4. The admittance of 3 ohm is 1 by 3. Admittance of 6 ohm is 1 by 6. So the summation of the admittances is your coefficient of V1. Now, if you are writing nodal equation of V1, then the coefficients of the other node, which is V2 and V3, will be the negative of the admittance connected between them. That means when you write the nodal equation of V1, it will have coefficient of V2 as well as coefficient of V3. Now the coefficient of V2 will be the admittance connected in between V1 and V2, the negative of that admittance. That means the admittance connected between V1 and V2 is 1 by 3. So negative of that, which is minus 1 by 3, is your coefficient of V2. Similarly, the coefficient of V3 will be the negative of the admittance connected between 1 and 3. So the 1 and 3, between 1 and 3, 6 ohms is connected. The admittance is 1 by 6. So the negative, which is minus 1 by 6, will be the coefficient of V3. That is equal to the sum of currents entering, which is 6 minus 4, 2. This is how you can directly write the coefficients without writing these equations. So now for the second case, which is your node 2. So I am considering your node 2. So if you consider node 2, I am not rubbing it. If you take node 2 and the equation of your node 2, you can see the coefficients of the main node 2 will be the sum of admittances connected to node 2, which is 1 by 3 plus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 5. Now, the coefficient of V1 will be the negation of the admittance connected between 1 and 2. So, which is V1 times minus 1 by 3. And also the coefficient of V3 will be negative of the admittance connected between 2 and 3, which is minus 1 by 5. So this is how you write the nodal equation directly. Now if you write a nodal equation directly for V3, you can see that the outgoing currents, which is the coefficient of V3, will be the sum of the admittances connected to your V3. So I'm writing the nodal equation of the third node. In that case, the third node is my main node. So V1 will have coefficients, V2 will have coefficients. Similarly, the coefficients of V3 will be, I'm writing the nodal equation of node 3. This is your node 3. So the admittances connected to node 3 are 5, 8 and 6. That means it will have the coefficients 1 by 5 plus 1 by 8 plus 1 by 6. Now the coefficient of V1 will be the negative of the admittance connected between 1 and 3, which is minus 1 by 6. Now the coefficient of your V2 will be the negative of the admittance connected between 2 and 3, which is 5. So this is minus 1 by 5. These all are outgoing currents. So this is equal to the incoming current, which is your 4 ampere. So this is how you write the nodal equation. So you have three equations. You have three equations, 1, 2 and 3. And you have three unknowns, which is V1, V2 and V3. So you have three equations, three unknowns. You can solve it by putting it in the calculator and you will obtain the values V1, V2 and V3 as 10.17 volts, 9.22 volts and 15.33 volts. This is your answer. So if there is any doubt, please ask. If not, we'll move on to the next problem. Please go through this question. We'll have 5 minutes. So we move on to the next problem. So you're asked to find the current I in the given circuit. So I wanted to revisit your superposition principle while solving this problem. So for in the case of superposition theorem for a linear circuit where multiple independent sources are acting, you can solve for any voltages or currents at any nodes or branches as the summation when individual sources act at a time. So in this case, you have three sources and you are asked to find the current in this branch. So this current can be written as summation of I01, I02 and I03, where I01 is the current which is in the same branch when only 1 ampere current source acts. I02 is the current when only this 8 volts acts And I03 is the current when only this 8 volts acts. So I can name the sources as 1, 2 and 3. When you draw the equivalent circuit for I01, as I mentioned, it is a case when only 1 ampere acts. So when only one source acts, the other sources, what you will do? You will replace with their internal impedances. So in the previous case, when we were discussing about Thevenin's equivalent resistance, in the case of circuits which has only independent sources, you will find your R Thevenin by replacing the independent sources with their internal impedance. That is also the same thing you do here. So while you are activating only one independent source, all the other independent sources you will deactivate by replacing it with their internal impedance. So as I mentioned before, the internal resistance of a voltage source is 0. So you will replace the voltage source with a short circuit. The internal resistance of a current source tends to infinity. So that means the resistance is infinity, or you will replace it with an open circuit. So in the case of I01, it is a case when only 1 ampere acts. So when only 1 ampere acts, there is only 1 ampere in the circuit, and you have your 5 ohm, then you have your 1 ohm, then you have another 1 ohm. You have an 8 volts, you will replace it with short circuit. So your 8 volts is, so this part is now short circuited. Then you have your another 8 volt, that is also short circuited, and you have a 1 ohm, and this rest circuit stands as it is. So this part, which is your 8 volts, I have short circuited. Now the I01 is this current in the same direction as I. You have to mark your I01. So I01 is in the same direction as I, but it happens when only your 1 ampere is acting. So this is your 1 ampere. The rest of the circuit remains the same. So now became a simple networks problem. You are asked to find this I01. So this is a tricky question, because if you observe closely, you can see that your circuit is short circuited throughout. This whole is a single node. That means if you name this node as A, this is also A, this is also A, this is also A, and this is another node, say B. So if you look at this way, you can see that your I01 is a short circuit path, and this whole thing is a short circuit. So there is no direct way to solve this. You cannot solve this using mesh analysis. It will be very difficult. You have 4 meshes, out of which 3 are already short circuited. So let us see how to draw a simple circuit, equivalent circuit of this. So if you take this, your node A here, you can see that your 1 ampere and your 5 ohm. So this is node A. Your 1 ampere and 5 ohm, it also comes in between node A. That means this is also A. That means this whole thing is a short circuit. Now where is your B? Your B is somewhere outside. Between A and B, you have 4 1 ohm resistances. So this is your circuit, the real circuit. So this thing you can draw this in this way, but actually it looks like this. So now where is your I01 in this circuit? You don't know. So one way of solving this is, so you found that this is your 1 ampere. Now I01 is the current which flows through your node A. That means this is your I01. Now how did I decide the direction of I01? If you look closely, your I01 is in this direction, whereas your 1 ampere is in your opposite direction. That is why I have drawn your I01 opposition to your 1 ampere. So if you look closely in the circuit, now you can directly write what is your I01. Your I01 is nothing but minus 1 ampere. So this is how you got I01. Is there any doubt in this? Now let us move on to finding I02. I02 is when only the first voltage source acts. That means only when your 8 volts acts. So when only your 8 volts acts, you have to replace the other independent sources with their equivalent impedance. So now the equivalent impedance of a current source is open circuit. So you have to open circuit this. Sorry, the equivalent impedance is not open circuit. The equivalent impedance is infinity. So you replace the current source with an open circuit and you replace this voltage source with a short circuit. So if I redraw the circuit, you're open circuiting your 1 ampere, you have your 5 ohm. Anyway, you're open circuiting, so your 5 ohm doesn't play a role in the circuit. So you have your 1 ohm here. You have another 1 ohm here. You have your 1 ohm here. Here. And there is a voltage source of 8 volts here. Now this current is your I02. Now in the previous case, similarly, if you name the nodes, you are naming this node as A. That is the same node here A. That is the same node here A. But this is different. This is, you can name it as B and this is as C. So now you have different nodes. Now if you look at closely, you can draw the equivalent circuit where your voltage source comes between A and C. So if my A is here and my C is here, in between them you have a voltage source of 8 volts. Now where is B? B can be somewhere here. Now I have drawn this part. Now I have to draw between A and B and C and B. Between C and B you see 1 ohm, sorry. So between B and C there is a 1 ohm. Now between A and B, if you look closely between A and B, you have 1 ohm, 1 ohm, another 1 ohm. That means 3 1 ohms. So there is 1 ohm here, then another 1 ohm, then another 1 ohm. So this is 1 ohm, this is 1 ohm, this is 1 ohm. Now you don't know where your I01 is, right? But you can find what is the current in each branch. Now if you draw the equivalent circuit of this, you have here 8 volts, A and C. You have your 1 ohm, B. You have 3 1 ohms in parallel. The equivalent resistance will be 1 by 3. I hope you all already know that when you have the same resistances in parallel, say there are n branches, the equivalent resistance will be R by N. So you have 1 ohm resistances, 3 branches. So the equivalent resistance is 1 by 3 ohms. So now you can find this current. This current I am naming it as I1. Now what is I1? I1 is 8 divided by 1 ohm plus 1 by 3 ohm, which is nothing but 6 ampere. So you see I1 I am drawing coming out of 8 volts. That's why I am writing it as 8 by 1 plus 1 by 3. If I had given my direction of I1 as like this, then my I1 would have been minus 8 by 1 plus 1 by 3. Always make sure your direction is correct. So now I got my I1 as 6 ampere. Now what is I1? I1 is a current flowing from A to C. I1 is this. So from A to C, I1 is flowing, which is 6 ampere. Now from B to A, also your I1 is flowing, which is 6 ampere. Now the 6 ampere is flowing through your 1 by 3 ohms, right? But 1 by 3 is actually what? 1 by 3 is actually 3 1 ohms in parallel. So this is your B and this is your A. From B to A, 6 ampere is flowing means through each 1 ohm, 2 ampere is flowing because they are in parallel. That means same potential difference and they have the same resistance. So the current will also be same. So 6 divided by 3, which is 2 ampere. So through each 1 ohm, 2 ampere is flowing. So now in this given circuit, if you see, if you see, from A to C, from A to C, from 8 volts, 6 ampere is flowing. It is coming from the positive polarity of 8, 6 ampere. Now from B to A, through each 1 ohm, through each 1 ohm, from through each 1 ohm, from B to A, that means from B to A, what is flowing? 2 ampere is flowing. So if you consider this node, if you consider this node, 6 ampere is flowing outwards, 2 ampere is coming inwards, and this current is I02. That means incoming current is 2 ampere, outgoing current is 6 plus I02. That means your I02 is minus 4 ampere. This is how you get I02. Is there any doubt here? It's a bit confusing problem because of the short circuit. Please ask if you have any confusion in finding I02. So now we'll go to finding your I03. So similar way you will proceed. So I03 is when only the lower 8 volts acts. So you have to short circuit this 8 volt and open circuit this 1 ampere. That means if you draw the equivalent circuit, this is how it looks. Similarly, as we proceeded before, this is your A, this is your A, is also your A, and this is also your A because now this is a short circuit. So your C and A became one. So this is your B. If you draw the equivalent circuit, there is only two nodes. One is A, another is B. In between A and B, everything comes. So in between A and B, there is three 1 ohm resistances. 1, and another 8 volt source where the positive sign of 8, there is an 8 volt source where the positive is in at B, and there is another resistor of 1. So this is the equivalent circuit. Now similar to before, if you draw 1 ohm You have 3 1 ohms in parallel, so this becomes 1 by 3 ohm and 8 volts and 1 ohm. And this is A, this is B. Since the polarity of 8 volts positive is at B, I will assume that the current, say I2, is in this direction. Now what is I2? Same as before, I2 is 8 divided by 1 plus 1 by 3, which again comes out to be 6 ampere. Now the 6 ampere is flowing like this. It will flow through each of the 1 ohm. So this is your 6 ampere. So that will split as 2, 2 and 2. That means from B to A, through each 1 ohm resistor, how much current will flow? 2 ampere. Also, from the positive terminal of 8 volts, that means from A to B, 6 ampere flows. If you draw this equivalent currents in your equivalent circuit, so the equivalent circuit or your original circuit, if you draw this, you will see that from B to A, through each 1 ohm resistor, 2 ampere will flow. So this is your 2 ampere. This is your 2 ampere. This is also your 2 ampere. This is also your 2 ampere. Again also at 8 volts, 6 ampere is flowing. That means here 6 ampere. So if you take this node A, this 2 ampere, if you see this 2 ampere is flowing like this because this is open circuit. So this current is also 2 ampere. So 2 ampere is entering, 6 ampere is leaving, and I03 is also entering. So this is your node A. So if you solve for KCL, the incoming currents are I03 and 2 and the outgoing current is 6. That means I03 now became 4. So you have 3 currents, I01, I02 and I03. Your I01 was minus 1 ampere, I02 was minus 4, I03 was 4. So your original I is the sum of all, which comes out to be minus 1 ampere. This is how you solve this problem using superposition theorem. Now if you don't have to go through superposition theorem, you can also solve this using nodal analysis. Your life will become very simple because in nodal analysis, what you will do? You will assume one node potential. So the ground is not given. So you can assume this as ground. So if this is ground, that means this is 0 volts. Now this is also 0 volts. This is also 0 volts. Now this potential is what? If this is 0 volts means 0 plus 8. So this is 8 volts. Now you can assume this value as V1 and you can write the nodal equations. If you write the nodal equations, you can directly get V1. If you do that, you will get V1 as 4. Now your life became very easy because your this potential is 4. Right? That means through this 1 ohm, 8 volts is above, 4 volts is below. So your through 1 ohm in this direction, 2 ampere will flow. Sorry, 4 ampere will flow, right? And 1 ampere is flowing like this. That means from here, 5 ampere should come. Then only it will shift to 1 and 4. Similarly, here it is 4 volts, here it is 0 volts. That means in this direction, 4 minus 0 by 1, 4 ampere will flow. Now if you take this node, 4 ampere is coming, 5 ampere is going. That means this is your I. Incoming current is 4, outgoing current is 5 plus I. That means your I is minus 1 ampere. So your life became very simple if you apply nodal analysis in this question. But I just showed how to apply superposition in the same problem. You ended up with the same answer. Now we will move on to the next question. I'll give you 5 minutes. This is problem on first order circuits. Please go through the question. You have 5 minutes.
Hello?
Yes.
May continue, madam. No problem.
5 minutes is over. I hope you all attempted this problem.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Yeah. So hope you all are familiar with inductance and capacitors. So inductor, capacitor and resistances are passive elements where the current entering point that will have positive polarity. So if my current is entering my inductor, the polarity of the voltage developed in the inductor will be in this polarity. Similarly for capacitor, Vc of t will be in the given polarity. If this is the case, then the voltage across inductor is given by L di by dt. In the case of capacitor, the same relation holds true in the case of capacitor current. It is given by C dVc of t by dt. Now, in the case of an inductor, the inductor current then will be the integral 1 by L integral minus infinity to t VL of t dt. And in the case of capacitor, it is the voltage, which is 1 by C integral minus infinity to t IC of t dt. Now, we are integrating from minus infinity to t means that we are taking into consideration the previous state of the device or element. So, minus infinity to t or minus infinity to t can be broken down into two parts, which is minus infinity to 0 and then 0 to t. Now, this take parts, this involves the past of your element, the past conditions, and this is your present condition, provided the change between past and present occurs at t equal to 0. So, keeping this in mind, we will solve this problem. The circuit above obeys the following differential equation. Determine the parameter tau. So, you have a simple RL circuit. So, you have your voltage source. Let the voltage developed in your inductance be VL of t and that of your resistor be VR of t. The resistance voltage is also given as your output voltage, which is also a function of time. So if you write Kirchhoff's voltage law, KVL equation in this given mesh, you will get your supply Vs of t is nothing but VL of t plus V naught of t. Now your VL of t is the voltage across your inductor, which is L di by dt, where I is the current in the given direction. I repeat, the current entering point will have positive polarity. The same current flows through your resistor because this is open circuited. That means your V naught of t is nothing but I of t times R. I also am expressing as a function of time. That means what is your I? Your I of t is nothing but V naught of t by R. That means your Vs of t now becomes VL of t, which is L di by dt plus V naught of t, where your I is nothing but V naught by R. So I can replace I by V naught by R inside this differential. So this is V naught of t by R plus V naught of t. This becomes L. Resistance does not vary with time. So I can take it outside. L by R of d by dt of V naught of t plus V naught of t is your Vs of t. So in the given problem, these two forms are now same. The supply voltage Vs of t is equal to V naught of t plus tau times dV naught of t by dt. You are asked to find what is tau. Tau is the coefficient of your d by dt of V naught of t, which is nothing but L by R. So this is the solution of this question. The value of tau is L by R. So your L is your L is 100 microhenry and your R is 125 ohms. So you substitute it and you can get your tau. So this is a time constant of your circuit L by R.
0.8 microseconds.
Yeah, 100 by 125 comes out to be 0.8 microseconds. So that is the answer. We'll move on to the next problem. Please take
Okay,
5
ma'am.
minutes to solve this. Thank you. In the circuit above, the current source jumps from 5 milliampere to 0 at t equal to 0 as shown. At t equal to 0 minus, the inductor current is 5 milliampere. Determine the power dissipated in the resistor at t equal to 2 microseconds. Sorry for the interruption, the screen got stuck. Yeah. Let's continue. So as I've explained before, I wrote the equations of voltages and currents through inductor and capacitor. So if you concentrate on one, you can find the analogous in the other. This is a speciality of between inductor and capacitor. That means the voltage equation of inductor and current equation of capacitor are similar. Similarly for current and voltages of both. Now, if you consider inductor, when you send DC current through an inductor, that means current is a constant. That means the voltage across the inductor is the proportional to the rate of change of your current. But if you're sending a constant current, that means there is no rate of change of current, or the voltage across the inductor is 0 volts. Now voltage across inductor is 0 volts means it acts as a short circuit. That means when constant current flows through inductor, it acts as a short circuit. Now this happens when you have a DC supply connected through an RL circuit. So after some point, your current will become constant. So the inductor is a device which will oppose the change of current. It doesn't allow the current to change very fast. So when you first insert a circuit, they will oppose the change. But slowly it should accept that the current is constant. So when a current is constant, the inductor will act as a short circuit. That means at steady state, that means that after a long time, the inductor you can replace with a short circuit. Now if this is the case, at t equal to 0, you are making a connection to an RL circuit. So at t equal to 0, you are closing the circuit. Now, before t equal to 0, that means when t is less than 0, which is a time span from minus infinity to t, I repeat, you can divide the time span into one before the switching happens and the other after the switching happens. Now, before the switching happens, the inductor was part of some other circuit, and that would have already attained its steady state. That means at this particular interval, the inductor was in a different circuit, and in that circuit, the inductor would have obtained its steady state. Now, this t equal to 0, I can divide it into 2, which is 0 minus and 0 plus. So something might have happened to inductor current at 0 minus, and something might have happened at 0 plus. Now, as I've told before, 0 minus is the time before the switching happens. Now, when before the switching happens, the inductor is already part of some circuit, and that circuit is already in its steady state. So that current through the inductor at the steady state before the switching is your IL of 0 minus. Now, IL of 0 plus is your inductor current just after the switching. So IL of 0 minus is your steady state current before the switching. IL of 0 plus is your inductor current just after the switching. Since inductor does not allow the current to change abruptly, both these values will be same. So for finding the values of the circuit at 0 minus and 0 plus, we will assume that in the case of an inductor, the inductor current before switching and inductor current just after switching will be same. In the case of a capacitor, the same relationship holds in the case of voltage. So for a capacitor, Vc of 0 minus will be same as Vc of 0 plus. That means the voltage across the capacitor before switching, which has already reached the steady state before switching, is same as the voltage across a capacitor just after the switching. Now, if you already know what these values are, if you already know these values, this forms the initial stage of the system. So in certain questions, your initial conditions will be given. So this is that initial condition. So if you know the initial condition, you can draw the equivalent circuit with at that particular instant with that initial condition. That means the circuit at t equal to 0 plus, if you draw the inductor, you can replace with a current source. This current source value will be IL of 0 minus, which is same as IL of 0 plus. As I've said before, the inductor would have already obtained steady state. That means it is already acting as a short circuit in the previous case. And that short circuit will be carrying some current. That current is your IL of 0 minus. Now at 0 plus second, when you draw the equivalent circuit, you can replace the inductor with a current source, which is having the initial value condition of your inductor. So now, in the case of a capacitor, this will become a voltage source. So now the polarity of this you should give appropriately depending upon given in the question. Now this circuit exists only when t equal to 0 plus. Now after that, you should retain the inductor as it is as well as capacitor as it is. So this is t greater than 0. Now as time progresses, the circuit will reach steady state. At steady state, your inductor will be replaced with a short circuit and your capacitor will be replaced with an open circuit. So these are the three stages of switching. One, before the switching, what is a steady state? That will be the values. For inductor, it is in the current will be same. For capacitor, the voltage will be same. Those values will hold true at t equal to 0 plus second. Now when t greater than 0, you have to draw it as it is. In this case, you will utilize your Laplace transformation to solve the circuit. You will draw the S domain equivalent circuit and you will write the S domain equation. You will find the inverse Laplace transform or you will get the generalized equation of your circuit. Now at steady state, you can also at steady state you can directly go for short circuiting the inductor and open circuiting the capacitor. Now if only steady state is asked, you can directly use this. If you are asked transient response and steady state response, you can directly do the S domain Laplace transform. This will hold both steady state as well as transient information. So depending upon the question, you can choose which part of the switching time you can choose. So we'll move on to the question. Given question, you have already told that the circuit was initially the supply was 5 milliampere. That means the circuit had already obtained steady state before. So this information, that is at t equal to 0 minus the inductor current is 5 milliampere. This information is extra information. It is not necessary. Even if this was not there, you should know that the inductor current is 5 milliampere. How? Because you see your current Is at t less than 0, it is 5 milliampere. As I've said before, this has already obtained steady state before switching. Steady state means what? Your inductor now became a short circuit. So I'm drawing the equivalent circuit when t is less than 0. So when t is less than 0, you had your 5 milliampere source and your inductor already obtained steady state means your inductor is now a short circuit and you have your resistor here. Now this 5 milliampere will see two paths, one short circuit path and one resistive path. Current will always choose the low resistance path. Even though the circuit is a imaginary circuit, you will have your 5 milliampere flowing through your short circuit path. That means your inductor current, initial current, which is t less than 0, it obtained steady state and that value is 5 milliampere. So this information is unnecessary. Even if it is not there, you know that the inductor current is 5 milliampere before switching. That means at t equal to 0 minus, the inductor current was 5 milliampere because it already obtained steady state in the previous circuit. I hope I am clear. If there is any doubt, you can stop me and ask. Now, as I said before, the inductor will not allow the change of current abruptly. That means at t equal to 0 plus also, your inductor current is 5 milliampere. But at t equal to 0 plus, your current source is not there. Your current source became 0 ampere. That means if I draw the equivalent circuit at t equal to 0 plus, I repeat, the circuit exists only at t equal to 0 plus. You don't have your current source. And your inductor, you have to replace with a current source, having the initial current. Now, the initial current, how it is? The direction of the current is this way. That means at t equal to 0 plus, your inductor will act as a current circuit with current like in this direction and you have a resistor. And this is your resistive current, IR. So if I draw your IR with respect to time, at this point, your value of resistor current is 5 milliampere. This is a point value. That means this circuit exists only at t equal to 0 plus. Now when t becomes greater than 0, that means greater than 0 plus, your circuit will be back to an inductor with a resistor. So this circuit doesn't have a source. So with logic itself, you know that because it doesn't have a source, the current will die out and become 0 because there is no source. So whatever current is stored in this inductor will keep on going through the resistor until the resistor keep on dissipating the power. So the current will come down and come down, become 0. So this is your current profile. Now you are asked to find the power dissipated at t equal to 2 microsecond. Now the power dissipated through a resistor is current through the resistor square R. Now you are asked to find the power dissipated through the resistor at t equal to 2 microseconds. That means it is IR at t equal to 2 microseconds square times R. Now you have to find what is your IR at t equal to 2 microseconds. For that you can try writing the mesh equation. So you have your a RL circuit where your current is like this. So your VL of t is like this and your VR of t is like this. So if I apply Kirchhoff's voltage law, VL of t plus VR of t is equal to 0. Now what is VL of t? VL of t is L di by dt. Now the current I is nothing but IR. So L dir by dt plus VR is current times resistor is equal to 0. That means L dir is equal to dir by dt is equal to minus IR times R. So I'm taking dt here and IR here, which gives me dir by R is equal to minus R by L dt. Now I have dir and dt on each side, so I can integrate on both sides. 1 by IR dir integral is equal to minus R by L integral dt. Now integral 1 by IR dr is logarithm to the base e or ln e. It is log to the base e IR, or it can also be written as ln IR. Ln means log to the base e is equal to minus R by L t plus constant. Now logarithm of a to the base e, if it is b, which means e raised to b is a. This is a mathematical relation. That means in our case, log IR to the base E is minus R by L T plus C. That means E raised to minus R by L T plus C is your IR. Now E raised to A plus B is E raised to A times E raised to B. If using this logic here, E raised to minus R by L T plus C is nothing but E raised to minus R by L T into E raised to C. So now your IR became E raised to C times E raised to minus R by L T. Now you already know that your IR is something like this. So the equation proves E raised to C is a constant K. At t equal to 0, your IR is nothing but K E raised to 0. E raised to 0 is 1. So IR is K. That means this value is K. And it decreases exponentially and becomes tends to 0. This is your T. Now you got the general expression of your resistor current. IR is constant E raised to minus R by LT. Now what is this constant? That you already know. You draw the equivalent circuit at t equal to 0 plus and you obtain that value, which is 5 milliampere. So your value of resistive current is now 5 E raised to minus R by LT, that much milliampere. You can substitute the value of R and L. The value of R is 8 kilo ohm and the value of L is 10 millihenry. That makes your current IR as 5 E raised to minus 8K into 10 millihenry is 8K by 10 millihenry is 0.8 times 10 raised to minus 6 T. Not minus 6, 10 raised to 6 T. That much milliampere. Now you want the current at T equal to 2 microseconds. So this becomes 5 E raised to minus 0.8 into 10 raised to 6 times T is 2 micro means 10 raised to minus 6. That much milliampere. So this comes out to be approximately 1 milliampere. So your current at T equal to 2 microseconds is 1 milliampere. So your power through the resistor at T equal to 2 microseconds is current at 2 microseconds 1 milliampere square the resistance value, which is 8 kilo ohms. This comes out to be 8.15 milliwatts is your answer. So to solve this problem, you should know about the differential equation, how to solve the differential equation, and the basic mathematics. What is log? What is the integral of 1 by x dx? So integral 1 by x dx is logarithm to the base e x. And also the fact that logarithm to the base e, a, if it is b, then e raised to b is a. And also e raised to a plus b is e raised to a times e raised to b. These are some of the basic equations which you should know to solve this problem and the basics of inductor and capacitor. If there is any doubt in this question, please ask.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
In the exam point of view, this is okay for a theory part, writing a conventional type examinations. When you go for attending the objective type, any shortcut is there to reach the answer?
You are talking about GATE, IES like that.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, at the time of examinations for NPTL, so if your particular problem take this much of time, I think it will consume more time, ma'am. So any shortcuts
Shortcut
there?
is not there, just that if you by practice only, by seeing the circuit itself, you should know that the time constant of the circuit is
Yes.
L by R.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is an RL circuit, so it doesn't have any source. That means the current as well as voltage will decay with respect to time. And the time constant is L by R. and
Okay.
through practice only you will get to know that it's how to this is a very basic, very prime solution. So while you practice more and more, you will get. So there is one shortcut that is for a first order
Okay.
circuit.
Mm.
The voltages as well as currents at any point of time. That means a voltage at any time is the final value plus initial value minus final value e raised to minus t by tau. This is
Okay.
true for any first order circuit. So if you want to
Okay.
find a current at any time, that current will
Mm.
be the final value plus initial minus final e raised to minus t by tau. But how to find tau? What is the initial value? What is the final value? To know that, you should know the basics that inductor will
Okay.
act as a short circuit, capacitor will act as an open circuit at final points. That final means steady state. Initial
Okay.
means t equal to 0 minus. So that knowledge is required. That will obtain only by solving more and more problems like this.
Okay, ma'am. If any a circuit consisting two capacitor or two inductor either in series and parallel, how to solve, ma'am? Because in the assignments it will be like that.
If any solution, any circuit you can solve by using mesh analysis, which is Kirchhoff's voltage law. So you can
Okay.
obtain the equivalent voltages. By solving mesh equation, you can get the equivalent voltages. Once you have the equivalent voltage, even for inductor as well as capacitor, you can find the equivalent capacitance or equivalent impedance, or equivalent inductance in that case. By solving the voltage equations as well as current equations, you can get the equivalent capacitance and equivalent inductance values. That is no issue.
Okay. Suppose if they are asking just switch is closed. If they are asking the response, whether we have to find out the before zero steady state, we have
That's
to
what
find
I
out it.
said.
Okay, ma'am.
There are 3 points. One is at t equal to 0 plus.
Mm.
Another is t greater than 0, which is at any time t.
Okay, okay,
In other words, you have only 2 instances, one initial and one at any time t.
okay, okay.
At any time t, you can solve using S domain. In that S domain, if you put S tends to infinity, you will get your steady state.
Okay. Ma'am, anytime
Now,
t not equal to 0 plus, ma'am?
anytime t not 0. 0 plus is an instant of anytime t.
Okay, okay.
If they are specifically at 0 plus, you don't have to go for anytime t.
Okay, okay, okay.
But if
So
you
any
just put t equal to 0, you will not get 0 plus. Because 0
okay.
plus depends on 0 minus, the previous state. If
Zero
t,
differ from
yeah.
t equal to zero differ from t equal to 0 plus. Am I correct?
Yes. 0 plus and 0 minus are memory elements. It depends on the previous circuit element.
Previous.
Yeah. But
Okay,
t
okay.
equal to 0 means the instant where you put the switch. It doesn't matter what is the previous state. But since
Okay,
you have inductor and capacitor, which are memory elements,
okay, ma'am. Okay.
this your 0 minus and 0 plus will come into picture. If it is a pure resistive circuit, then 0 minus and 0 plus doesn't matter. Only it's equal to
Mm.
0 matters.
Yes, it will sudden change.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. So we'll meet next Tuesday. Thank you all.
Hello, ma'am. One more doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, the video content is not available for third week from your side, ma'am. I have seen in the Google Drive.
Okay.
For
Google video
third,
solutions are not in Google Drive. It is in YouTube.
only in YouTube. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
They even Excel sheet for the link for getting that material, but which is not available in that. Some sixth week is there, remaining weeks are there, but third week only is not available.
Okay. I will look into it. Not sure why it is not there. I already uploaded. I'll check into it and upload it if
Okay,
it is not there.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you then.